Anybody around? Uh, Hi guys. I'm very new at this, and it looks like there's a very long buffer. I thought maybe it would be a live stream, but apparently it's not. So I'm just going to get going, and I'm going to start talking and read some of your questions and try to do this. Let's see here. Let's see here, Mr. Pink. Got to say hi to you. You've been a very loyal follower over the years. So hope you got your Chevy Suburban. RV5, thank you. I love doing my work. It's loads of fun because I love playing with cameras and computers and of course cars. Richard Scott, you live in a state that has hurricanes. Why are they making so many electric cars? Well, you know what? Right now, electric cars are 2% of sales. So really, they aren't making so many electric cars. But I get your concern. The reality is, in some cases, electric cars can be beneficial in a hurricane because you can attach them to your house and power your refrigerator and your television and all that for at least a couple days if the battery pack is big enough, which, is possibly enough for the power company to get power restored. Not a perfect system. The other thing is that, what? If power is truly cataclysmically out, your gas pumps aren't running either. So it's difficult. Let's see. Boy, this stream is coming in fast. Let's see. From Jeffrey from Lake Forest Park. We're neighbors. We're very close. Jimmy H in the UK. Where's my evil twin? Oh, he doesn't live here. I would never let him live here. Let's see here. Malaysia? You're from Malaysia? Thanks for watching. I don't even know if you can get all the cars that we get. Let's see. Mr. Pink said, what got me interested in making car reviews? Well, I used to work for the NBC station here in Seattle, and I have always loved cars ever since I was a little kid. And it was always my useless command of knowledge, and I always produced automotive specials for the NBC station. And so at one point, they realized that there were press vehicles available, so I could do car reviews, and they thought that it would be a good idea. Interesting fact, I've always been a photographer editor. People seem to think that I've always been a reporter, but nope, grew up as a photographer and an editor, and the show host refused to be the talent on the car reviews because he didn't know anything about cars. So my boss told me to get a haircut and put on a clean shirt, and the rest is history. The first couple years, kind of rocky. I actually don't like being on camera all that much. I would much rather photograph the cars and edit and do all that kind of stuff. But, being on camera is a necessary evil. Let's see here. Jeff Sawyer, as manufacturers pursue MPG goals, who makes four-cylinder that matches 6 for horsepower, torque, smoothness, and exhaust note? Well, power and torque, turbo 4s can be as torquey or even more torquey than V6s. As far as smoothness and sound, I don't know that anybody does. I'll be really honest with you. I actually like the dynamic of turbo 4 engines, but I do like a 6-cylinder because they feel better and they sound better. And in that regard, I also like 8-cylinders. I love V8s, love the sounds and all that kind of stuff. But I think, and this is not politics, people, it's science. uh, things are clearly changing, and it does look like the V8 is on its way out, and electrification, and not just pure EV, but electrification, meaning that it will be electrically assisted in some way. A good example of that is the Acura NSX, which is a turbocharged V6, but it is also electrically powered up front. So these things can live together. They are like Reese's peanut butter cups, two great things that go great together. So, yeah, it looks like the V6 and the V8 are probably on their way out. I see most vehicles in the next 15 years switching to four cylinders when they have ICE engines. Let's see here. Oh, I don't know who it is, but somebody said that they just got a Taycan. It's their first EV. Congratulations. That is one of my favorite cars of all time. Money no object. Even if I had loads and loads of money, that would be on my short list. Let's see. Frock, Frok, wants to comment that he appreciates the beautiful photography. Thank you. I do try. I spend way too much time on these videos. Usually, it takes me a good 10 to 12 hours of shooting. And part of that is because of the running footage. Martin Campbell and I go out on the weekends, and sometimes it's Rob Calero, and it takes 3 to 4 to 5 hours just to shoot the running footage, depending on the vehicle and how far we travel from Seattle to do it. But you know what? I don't want to waste your time, and I want to make it look good for the videos, so I do the best I can. Let's see, what do you use for capturing in-car B-roll? I picked up a DJI Pocket 2, and it seems like it would be perfect, very smooth and beautiful. That was from Jeffrey Markham. You know what? I use a GoPro 7. I actually have 3 of them. And I specifically use the GoPro 7 because, one, I end up breaking them occasionally. So they're a little bit less expensive than the 8s. And the 7s you can replace the front lens on. The 8s you can't. So I replace the lens on those things probably every 2 to 3 months. And I don't use the GoPro 9 because, oddly enough, the GoPro 9 is not only larger, but when I set things up, I have an iPad, and I look at the live stream that the camera is giving me to make sure that there aren't any hiccups. And the GoPro 9 doesn't allow that feature. It's one of those things that people that use GoPros cannot understand. The weirdest thing. They took away one of the best features that GoPro has. So I'm sticking with the 7 as my favorite GoPro. Will I be reviewing the BMW i4 as soon as I can? Lately, I have been sort of gravitating more towards electric cars whenever I get them because I see them as the future. And so, yeah. In fact, actually, I was invited to the BMW i4 launch over in Europe. But unfortunately, I've got a lot of things going on in my personal life where I simply couldn't go. Just need to stick around home for the time being. Let's see. Ryan Fortier, you're from Vancouver. The question is, 22 Acura MDX has adaptive dampers. I don't know. You would check that out by yourself. Check out the Acura website. I don't know that they have announced the 22 yet. So, but sorry, I can't answer that. Do you have a day job? You know what? I do I do freelance video photography for people that need it. I like to do high-end stuff. In fact, if you guys watch Frontline documentaries, I assisted on one of those. There's a new one coming out about 9/11 and a retrospect. So that's coming out soon. you might see my name in the credits. Didn't have a big part of that, but I work for corporate videography. I just do freelance. It's one of those things that helps pay the bills. All right. Thoughts on electrification of sports cars, summer BRZ. I've heard that the next generation Miata is going to be electrified. I don't know whether or not that's pure EV or it's going to be some sort of hybrid setup. Personally, when you get into something that's really complex, like the Acura NSX, I think it works really great in that situation. The regular hybrid systems that are like the Prius and all, I don't like the dynamic of that switching between gas and electric as much for a sports car. You can kind of feel it, though you do have to pay attention. A sports car, I think you need to be spot on, and it needs to be absolutely seamless. So personally, I would rather see a fully gas-powered sports car or a pure EV. And the problem with the pure EV sports car is that they tend to be very heavy. Part of the fun of the Miata is that it's very light, and so we'll see. I mean, solid state batteries might be less. We'll see about that. But, the other thing is the advantage of electric sports car is low center of gravity because the batteries are in the floor and those are very, very heavy. Let's see. Do you think manufacturers will go to hard buttons and knobs and volume and stuff? Are touchscreens here to stay? Yes. They are here to stay. Touchscreens are not only going to be staying, they are going to be dominating. It's one of those things that, a lot of people think that, these new gauge clusters that are configurable are really super cool. My opinion is that in 2 to 3 years, when those kinds of gauge clusters are actually much less expensive for automakers to put into cars, everybody's going to be complaining that they miss analog gauges. Right now the configurable gauges are very, very cool, but you always want what you can't have. The realization is, or the reality is that touchscreens are much less expensive for the automakers to put into a car. I am convinced that is the reason why Tesla has very, very, very few buttons and just one giant screen. It's a nice screen and they've got a good user interface, but it saves that company a lot of money because they don't have to put in buttons, they don't have to worry about the fit and finish, they don't have to worry about the leads that go to the button to the actual device. So yeah, touchscreens, those are here to stay and they're only going to get more prolific. Can you ever see yourself not being in the Pacific Northwest? Anthony, nope, always going to be here. Because one, the climate for shooting car reviews is really pretty good. And second of all, my wife is a Seattle native. She grew up here. She's not going anywhere. And she's an amazing woman. I'm going to stick with her. Let's see. What is my current daily driver? I have two that are considering my car. I have an original year 1990 NA Miata A package that doesn't get driven nearly as much as it should, and it's in pretty good condition. It has 74,000 miles. And then my other one is a 2014 Cadillac ELR, and a lot of people don't even know what the ELR is. It is Cadillac's first electrified vehicle. It's has a very, very similar powertrain to the Chevrolet Volt, but it's slightly different, and goes about 35 to 40 miles on electric power alone before it defaults to the gas engine. So I like plug-in hybrids. I like electrification, but I got an absolute screaming deal on it. The sticker price on it was supposed to be $83,000, and after the federal tax credit, brand new, it was like 33 grand. It's been a great car. Really like it. It's beautiful. Let's see. Just wanted to thank you for your videos, Stephen Beasel, my friend from the West Coast. Show me your channel. Love your easy demeanor. Keep up the hard work. Thank you. You know, I am who I am. You know, let's see here. No car is conforming to U.S. Fed laws. Okay. Sorry. Mr. Pink says, I'll take physical controls for heating, AC, and the radio over a touchscreen any day. You know what? I think, you know, in combination with touchscreens, since we're on that topic again, touchscreens are one of those things that, you know, they are going to dominate. But there's also going to be, you know, probably a secondary panel that is also, you know, if it's not a touch screen, it's going to be, you know, like a capacity type of surface. You're going to see it in the Nissan Ariya that I hope to drive by the end of the year. I've seen the Nissan Ariya in person, and I've seen the way those controls work. It's actually pretty good. It is the future. The other thing is that, you know, those surfaces don't tend to ever go bad. I have had a couple buttons in cars that I've owned that have gone bad. So, you know, you can't win no matter what you do. Are you still going to get new reviews every Tuesday? You know, I'm trying. Right now, my personal life is very challenging. I have a mother-in-law that's in hospice. And so the demands on my personal life right now are pretty high. And the reason I'm doing this live chat today is because I do have a video this week, but I realized that it is not going to be able to go live until Thursday. It is the Toyota Corolla Cross that I drove down in Austin, Texas. So this is to keep you guys, the faithful, happy until that drops on Thursday. So let's see here. How's my ELR holding up? Perfect. I have not had a single thing go bad with it except for the touchscreen, and all of the touchscreens went bad in all of the ELRs. They redesigned it, and so they covered that under warranty. Ed, you said that your reviews, my reviews, have helped you make wise decisions on your first cars. Well, great. Thank you. I hope you guys are test driving. Honestly, I know that some of you are really tired of me saying test drive at least 3 different vehicles, but the reality is I talk to a lot of people because a lot of people recognize me and they stop and ask me what car they should buy. And typically if they say, oh, you know, what do you think of the Toyota Camry? My first response is, oh, did you just buy one? And typically the answer is yes. I have run into so many people that have only test driven one car and then bought it. And today, that's ridiculous. There are so many great cars out there. The Americans, the Koreans, the Japanese, the Europeans, everybody's kind of killing it. Everybody's on their A game. There really aren't any truly dreadful vehicles anymore. There might be a couple that are very, very long in the tooth. But even the cars that are not as reliable as, you know, the least reliable versus the most reliable, you know, back in the 80s and the 90s, that used to be a huge, huge gulf. You know, now it's compressed. Yeah, there are some cars that are more reliable than others. I don't know that it's a huge deal these times. Personally, I don't buy on reliability alone. It's one of the factors that I would use, but it's just not something that dominates my car preference. 1, I like performance. 2, I love design. 3, it's got to have a good interior because that is what you're looking at. You don't really see the exterior all that much. You're staring at the dashboard all the time. Let's see here. Still write about cars for the Times occasionally? Yes, I write about them. The reason why I'm not doing videos for the Times anymore is because those were always reviews, and the Times does not want car reviews anymore. So I still write for them, which is odd because I got my life, started in the media business as a video photographer. So for me to end up as a writer in the New York Times kind of blows my mind. It's yeah, I have one coming up on the new breed of pickups, and I also have one coming up on what kinds of cars and brands might have actually benefited from the chip shortage and the COVID thing. It basically means people are forced to look outside their comfort zone because, the Toyota or the Honda that they might have wanted in the first place is not available. So they might branch out to Chevy or Hyundai or Kia. So that's coming. So yeah, still work for the times. Just picked up a RAV4 Prime XSE with Premier package, getting it ceramic coated today, tomorrow. Any thoughts on opinions on ceramic coating? I don't have any. I don't really know all that much about the technology, other than it can be very, very good, but there are all sorts of different ceramic coatings. So, unfortunately, I'll be really honest with you and say, can't really help you there. It depends on two things. It depends on the actual product that's being used, and it depends on the person that's applying it. So obviously, you've got a very nice car. Those are very cool. And I'm going to be driving the Lexus version of that next week. And it's the fastest fastest Toyota that you can get other than the Supra, I think. Those are really cool. In fact, my editor at the New York Times just bought one. He didn't buy the XSE, but he bought the lower version. Great car. And if you're plugging it in, you may only buy one or two tanks of gas a year. Let's see. Not car review related. How's your family? Everybody's fine. Everything's good. Life happens, and you just got to move through it. Some car dealers now charge pre-delivery inspection fee. Are these dealers just trying to get income by charging extra fee? Yes, they are. You know what? When you're negotiating the price of your car, just say no documentation fee, no inspection fee, no second sticker. And if they insist on that, you need to figure out whether or not you're going to just walk away. The reality is right now, it's very, very hard to buy a car. In fact, if I were buying a car today, I wouldn't buy a car. I would stick with what I've got. I would put $1,000 into the car and wait for a year while the chip shortage and the COVID madness drops down. It's just, it's a really, really bad time to buy a car. In fact, the piece that I'm doing for the Times, I talked to some people. They're talking about $15,000 and $18,000 markups on Kia Tellurides. And Telluride has been marked up because it's a very good car. It's a free market economy. And so dealers, that's their prerogative. If they can get it, that's how they make their money. And you as a consumer don't have to pay it. So don't. Buy something else or just wait. But anyways, any of those extra fees are absolute bullshit. Right now, if you really need a car, the dealers don't have any stock. So they are, of course, at least getting MSRP for a vehicle. If you can get a vehicle for MSRP these days, you're doing pretty well. Let's see here. Do I have plans to review any other pickups? Yes. When they come out, I'm actually scheduled to go drive the Ford Maverick in like 3 to 4 weeks, and so that's the newest one. And of course, I did the Santa Cruz, but Hyundai says no. Santa Cruz is not a pickup, but it kind of is. It's the modern day incarnation of the El Camino, and an update on the Subaru Brat and all that kind of stuff. With the success of the 4Runners after all these years, will Nissan ever bring back the Xterra to compete? Really miss those. Buick Boy 92. I was just recently at the Frontier event, and that's what they would build that on. And they, of course, smiled. I asked them about it, as is everybody. Everybody's asking, and they just smile and they say, we don't comment on future product. It is kind of the joke line in our industry. We don't comment on future product. It seems like they would be foolish not to. I have to believe that they're considering it, but as far as I know, it's not planned. It certainly isn't announced. Let's see. When they put the dealer decal on my car, I asked them, are they going to pay me monthly? You know what? When I buy cars, I insist that that it does not go on the car. In fact, long ago, when I bought a new car, I insisted that they didn't put it on, and it showed up with this really ugly plastic. I mean, it was like that big. It was huge. This plastic thing on the back that said Prestige, and it was on a sports car. It just sucked. And I told them it was actually in the contract that they didn't put it on. And I refused delivery of the car. And when they did that, they said, well, no. I said, no, it's in the contract. I told you not to put it on. You know, either you take it off or get me another car. And I actually ended up getting a different car because it was so huge. I think they tried to take it off, and I think it ruined the paint because they said that they were going to just take it off. And then they came back and they said, well, we're going to have to look for another car for you. So I ended up actually getting a better car for the same amount of money. Let's see. Would love to see a behind the scenes video on how you do the videos. You know, the problem is that I shoot by myself, so there would be nobody to tell you, nobody to shoot that. You know, the thing is that to get the best lighting, and because weather changes here in the Pacific Northwest a lot, you know, it's like I look out the window and go, oh my goodness, it's perfect time to shoot. And so I just go out all by my own. So there is a very brief, I'm trying to remember which one. The Porsche Cayman, I think it was the GTS 4-liter. At the end of that, I show you some of the gear and some of how I use it. So you might check that out. Basically, I use two different cameras. The main cameras can be either a Panasonic UX 1800 or the camera that you folks helped me buy, my main camera, the Sony FS7. And then a lot of GoPros and a DJI Osmo Mini or Pocket, and then a Mavic Air drone. So all of it shot in 4K. Should we always buy used? I bought a, that's Doc Bach. Buying used is great, you know, especially off lease. That way somebody else has taken the depreciation hit. I tend to be very, very, very particular about my cars, so I end up buying new usually. I've bought, you know, I've bought about half and half. But yeah, I mean, buying used is really smart if you can get a good idea of how the car has been taken care of, and you know, just know that it's hasn't been in a wreck. Then yeah, buying used is very, very smart. I tend to buy my cars and keep them a very, very long time. I mean, I bought my Miata 30 years ago, so yeah, you know, all of the cars. My wife had a Kia Soul that's been kind of gone from, you know, from her to my kids and all that kind of stuff. You know, that's 10 years old now, and it's still in perfect shape. You know, the thing is, a new car can be a really good investment if you take good care of it. A lot of people don't do maintenance. If you just do the simple things like oil changes and all of the scheduled maintenances, cars these days can last a terribly long time. Everybody's talking about the environment and all and EVs. The other thing is that if you take care of a car and you keep it for a long time, that also helps the carbon footprint. Let's see. I'm new to your channel. Looking forward to your expertise advice on second-hand automatic 4-cylinder, low maintenance and reliable. You know what? That is Redo. You know what? I don't typically do that kind of stuff. We just talked about maintenance. The reality is, do the maintenance, do the scheduled stuff. Use good oil. I personally use in my vehicles Mobil 1. I'm huge on synthetics. I really believe in them. I've seen what engine parts look like when they run on regular conventional oil, which has improved over the last couple decades. But in my opinion, when a car these days, the average cost of a new car is $42,000, spend the extra $20, $30 and put Mobil 1 or some other synthetic oil in there. Personally, I use Mobil 1 because I know it and I trust it. And I don't get paid for anything, which is maybe not, lucrative, but at least I can sleep well at night. Let's see. It's lunchtime here on the East. I'm wondering if you think about lease or financing takeover sites and deals. I'm looking for an MX-5 or 124 later this winter. I don't know an awful lot about lease financing takeovers. I don't know much about that. So I'll be really honest with you. But I think you're smart because you're thinking about buying an MX-5 or a 124. Personally, I would go with a Miata because I like that engine better. I actually like the 124 styling better, but you can't mix and match, unfortunately, with powertrains. I don't know, but it seems like you're smart, and it seems like you'd be able to figure out the finances and whether or not that's a good deal. But again, I think that anytime you can buy a pre-owned or used car, it's always a better kind of it's always a better deal. And sorry, folks, if I'm not getting to your question. There is a fire hose of stuff coming, and I'm just reading random stuff off. Toyota stated that we couldn't produce enough electricity if all cars were EVs, yet there was a story today that they are making huge investments in battery technology. George, Toyota's a bit of a mystery when it comes to EVs. I was just at a Toyota event with them, and, they are a very pragmatic company. In fact, when I think of Toyota, I don't know that I think of them so much as an automobile company as an efficiencies company, because everything they do is about efficiency and about scale and about all of that. They're an amazing manufacturing company. Obviously their just-in-time system that everybody has adapted all over the world has, as we've now found, has its bugs. But as far as their electrification, all of us auto writers sit there and scratch our heads. We don't understand. I mean, this is the company that wrapped itself in its great big green halo when the Prius came out. But then it didn't have any problem selling Tundras and Tacomas that get horrible fuel economy. So it's one of those things that they're looking at the market and saying, maybe rightfully so, that EVs are going to be hard for a lot of people. There are a lot of people that can't, they just simply have no place to charge them. And personally, I feel like if you have an EV, you really, really do need to be able to charge it overnight. Public charging, at least at this stage of the game, isn't convenient for most people in an urban area, and it's also expensive. If you watch my Chevy Bolt EV review that went up about a week and a half ago, I kind of cover that. But basically, Toyota is all about business, and so they're hedging their bets. They don't think that EVs are going to take off the way General Motors and Volvo and Ford and most other companies do. And you know what? I don't know. I understand that EVs are awesome vehicles. I love them. I don't know that I will ever buy a gas-powered car ever again, simply because I know what EVs are all about, unless I get a really good deal on a Boxster or a Cayman or a 911, but that doesn't really happen. So I will probably never buy a gas-powered car, but I can charge at home. So hopefully that answers your question. Ever think about doing comparison tests? EVs to Leavenworth and back would be a great super scenic too. You know what, Bob, or Rob, sorry. I actually thought about that and going to Leavenworth. Here's the deal. And I've said this before in my reviews, and this dovetails on the EV thing that I just talked about. The EV infrastructure is actually getting pretty good when you're on the interstates. But when you're on the regular rural roads like Highway 2 going to Leavenworth, which is beautiful, folks who don't live in the Pacific Northwest, it's absolutely stunning. There are car commercials that are shot on that road that, because a lot of car commercials are shot in Washington State. But the infrastructure on the lesser, state highways and stuff is really horrible. Even Tesla isn't really very well equipped that well. And their supercharger network, it's pretty well known that theirs is the best in the biz right now. And in fact, even those are starting to get clogged up in certain areas. So even that needs to be expanded. The EV infrastructure really, really, really needs to be expanded. And comparison tests, I don't tend to do those because comparison tests require a whole bunch of people. The great thing about a lot of these videos that you see on YouTube, especially from Motor Trend and Car Driver and all that, is that it makes it look really easy that, you've got 4 EVs and one of them goes this far and one of them is faster and one of them handles better and all that sort of stuff. They have huge crews, right? Ever looked at a Motor Trend video and they run credits at the end? They've got literally 24 people working on those videos. I'm one guy, and Martin comes out to help, and I'm, pretty much a shoestring operation. And I buy Martin coffee, and occasionally, we go through the McDonald's drive-through. It's I think my videos stand up very, very well. It's really hard to do comparison tests. And if I were to do comparison tests, I would like to do them back to back because it's amazing the differences that you find when you drive vehicles back to back. In fact, I do try to write detailed notes about vehicles that I've driven so that when I drive the competition, I can give you an idea of what the difference between the two competitors are. But the reality is nothing beats driving them back to back, which is why if you're thinking about buying a vehicle, it's a really good idea to, block out a day, go out and test drive at least 3 different vehicles. So everything is really fresh in your mind. So that the best car, for you is the one that you end up in. So that's why I don't do comparison tests. It's just logistically, it's just too hard for me. Let's see. Have I considered filming in the Yakima River Canyon and Gorge? Would love to, but that's like a 3-hour drive from my house. So that means 6 hours round trip. Martin's married too, and Kathy wants him to do stuff around the house. I always steal him on Saturday mornings, and yeah, I'm pushing my luck as it is. We have actually gone over there to shoot occasionally. There are been times when I've had cars where I only have them for 3 or 4 days, and it's pouring down rain on this side of the mountains. If we just go over Snoqualmie Pass, 9 times out of 10, the weather there is really nice. So we have kind of shot in that area before, but it's only because out of necessity. Let's see. Electrify America is open in Leavenworth. Oh, that's new. Thanks, David. The last time I checked, I had a Porsche Taycan 4S that my wife and I desperately wanted to go on a really super cool road trip. And we were going to go to the Methow Valley, which is past Leavenworth. But Leavenworth would have been a great place to fuel up. There were no charging stations, so that's new. Good to know. These things are changed. My only problem with Electrify America is sometimes their stations aren't operational. I've been at a couple of them where, almost half of the stations are out of order. So for people to get comfortable with the EV experience, that is a wrong that needs to be righted. And I'm not just dumping on Electrify America. I've seen Tesla power superchargers down. I've seen EV Go stations down, Blink stations down. They just need to be maintained. I don't know much about the technology of these charging stations, but it seems to me that they can be built so that they're not going down. Just my thing. Somebody says, thank you, Martin. Yes. Martin is the greatest guy in the world. In fact, Martin and I are going today after I'm done with this. And I'm going to have to leave soon because I need to pack, because I'm going to the Olympic Peninsula, where the press organization that I belong to is doing something called Mudfest, which is a comparison test. It's our SUV of the Year contest. And we didn't have it last year because of COVID. But it's going to be happening this year. It's going to be scaled down a little bit. But it is the best way to check out the best SUVs and crossovers and pickups. So that's going to be next week's video. I will let you know that. Let's see. Mark Blast, sorry I have to leave, but you scheduled the first day. Sorry, it's Tuesday, and because I can't drop my video until Thursday this week because of the embargo. I'm just doing this just as a bit of a placeholder. I didn't do a video last week because, again, it's the first time I haven't had video on a Tuesday in like 3 years. So I think my track record is pretty good. But I just couldn't. There was too many things going on in my life. And then, the embargo this Thursday. So I'm just here to tell you that's why. I actually had people call me while I was driving the Toyota Corolla Cross, and loads of emails. So I appreciate your concern. But the next couple months, I may be missing a couple Tuesdays. Just need to let you know that. But I love doing the videos. Love working with the cars. And, sometimes family comes first. Let's see. What is the trade-off in CO2 by switching to all EVs, assuming internal combustion engines went out the window? That's Joe Gondo. You know what? It's hard to know. It really is. I'm not going to try to give you some sort of bullshit answer. The reality is, people seem to think that in 10 years all cars are going to be EVs, and I think that's wrong. I think the internal combustion engine is going to be with us for decades to come. I don't think it's going anywhere. We're 2% of electric cars in sales right now, right? Okay. To get to 50% is going to be a Herculean effort just in producing the cars themselves. let alone getting people to change their minds and understand that in many ways EVs can be beneficial. And it's not just the environment. Performance is awesome in an electric car. Also, my wife wanted an EV simply because she hates going to the gas station. For her, she comes home, click, plugs in. The next morning she wakes up, she has a full battery. They're really very, very convenient. But again, only if you can charge at home. Instead of waiting for manufacturers, why don't you get cars independently from a dealer and do a review? Because most dealers won't allow that. And second of all, a lot of times I get the cars before the dealerships. In fact, when I was doing the Honda Civic and drove to Walla Walla, I drove by a Honda dealership, and there were two salespeople that were like pointing at me and like going, "Come here, come here, come here, come here." They hadn't even seen the new Honda Civic yet. So the other thing is that I'm just trying to keep it a level playing field. I take cars from manufacturers just simply because. Also, I know that they're maintained well. And honestly, people, they don't do anything different to those cars than they would do any other production car. And a lot of people ask me why I don't do Teslas. And that's because, and part of the reason why I don't take vehicles from dealerships is that I need the car for like at least 3 days, right? So I'm not going to take somebody's Tesla and keep it for 3 days and do the testing and the photography and all that needs to be done. The other thing is that with Tesla, I can't get good information from the company. I mean, I just simply can't. One, they don't even have a PR department. And second of all, there are all sorts of, stats and figures about those cars going around, and I don't know which one is accurate. And so for me, it's just not worth the hassle. There are other people that do Teslas. I drive Teslas. I'm familiar with the technology. I like the technology. I like what they're doing. It's very great that they have made the electric car cool. More power to them. But on top of all that, I think we all know that the Tesla crowd can be a bit rabid. And I just don't need to deal with it. I work hard enough as it is. I just don't. I'll be really candid with you. Let's see. David Black, I love EVs, but they do not work for everybody. True, they just don't. EV cars are only one step. The infrastructure also has to be completely changed. Yep. The ride quality on the Palisade versus the XC60. Boy, that goes back to that whole thing about I try to take notes and try to remember what they are, but the reality is I think I drove a XC60 maybe 3 years ago, so if I told you that I knew the difference, I would be lying. Go drive both of them. Find out for yourself. And that's it, folks. I can do all the reviews that I want, and these are my opinions. You need to go out and see what works well for you, all right? I mean, there are a lot of folks in this industry that will, make you believe that they know everything, and they don't. It's all about you finding out what's right for you. I can point you in the right direction. But it's really important that you test drive these vehicles. So go drive the Volvo, go drive the Hyundai. They're kind of two different vehicles too, since the Hyundai is a 3-row and it's a little bit larger, and the Volvo is 2-row. I love the Volvo. I've owned like 4 or 5 Volvos. They've all been station wagons, and I kind of miss Volvos, but right now I really don't need a new car. Let's see here. What are we coming up? I'll do this for like 5 or 10 more minutes, folks. Great job. Total Sports. Yes, I do have the ELR. You bought one last year and you love it. Don't get into an accident because they'll total it. Part Parts are already starting to get very, very scarce. If you folks don't know, the Cadillac ELR is kind of a unicorn in the world. Beautiful car. I still get people stopping me and asking me what it is because nobody knows what it is because they didn't advertise it. Nobody knows what it is. And I know of people that there's one guy in particular, he's looking for the gas filler door. And that part isn't made anymore. They only made 2,800 of them before they stopped making them. It was designed to be a limited production car to begin with, but it was such a failure in the marketplace. I think they stopped well short of what they thought they were going to make. But it's a great car. Love it. Let's see here. Richard, thank you. Oh, you love the toys behind me. Yeah, those are the Chevron cars. Remember, they sold them at Chevron stations. And the funny thing is that I only bought a couple of them because all the people at my TV station kept buying those for me. In fact, I had multiple versions of the same one. But I have every single Chevron car. Every single one. You can't see all of them, but and I don't have them all of them on display. But one, there was one that was given away at Disneyland at the Autopia opening when Chevron was sponsoring that, and there was one called the Gold Dusty, and it was plated in not real gold, but it was gold colored. And I think they made 200 of them, and they go on eBay for some outrageous amount of money, like $2,000 or $3,000. And so I am not going to complete my collection with something as silly as that. Okay. What do you think of the Ford trying to bring the Falcon back to the U.S. in 2008? I don't know. The Falcon is a great name. I would love to see Ford bring the Falcon name back. I don't know what they would put it on since they aren't doing cars anymore. And I don't know that it really fits for an SUV, but it's not going to be coming back. And so let's see here. Yes, the Chevron cars are awesome. Vito B, what do you think of the chip shortage, and what advice do you have for buying cars today? I hate the chip shortage. It sucks. And my advice for buying cars these days, today, don't buy a car. It's crazy. Again, I've just written a New York Times story. I turned it in on Friday. It's probably not going to run for a couple weeks, but dealerships, they can't get any cars. And so they're marking cars up anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 to one guy said he saw $18,000 on a fully loaded Kia Telluride. And Broncos, I've heard Broncos being marked up $20,000. And so, you know what? As a consumer, don't pay it. Simply don't. And I mean, it's silly. Don't fall for it. Fix your car if you have to. Wait for a year or two, and buy then. I really truly believe it's a horrible time to buy a car. Have you heard of defective battery issues with the CRV? I have not. Sorry, can't help you there. Will you be reviewing the CT4 or CT5 Blackwing? I sure hope so, especially the CT5. I've always loved the CTSV and the ATSV. Those are cars that did not get their due. I know that Car and Driver, Motor Trend, and the Buff Books have sung their praises, but for some reason Cadillac just doesn't seem to be able to market that they have cars that are truly awesome, that compete against the M cars from BMW, and they truly do. And let's not forget, people, everybody talks about the cars and how great they are, and this car is better than that car. The reality is, much of it depends on the driver. And I have met very, very few drivers, including myself, that can really, really tell the difference at full 10 tenths of whether a car is better than the other one. I mean, you get it on a track and yeah, you can tell the difference. But on public roads, you can't even begin to explore the performance limits of these vehicles. Even some mid-range cars these days. Cars handle really, really well these days. And if you're driving them to their full abilities on public roads and you don't know what's around the corner, could be a bunch of kids on a bike, it's a really dumb idea. The best you can do is get in the ballpark. Let's see. For Tom, for us, you are the cool geek in school that knows a lot. I'm glad I fooled you. I'm just doing what I like to do. I'm just producing the videos that I always wanted to see, back 20 years ago when I started this, because there were some truly dreadful videos out there. There's a lot of good people out there these days, so things have gotten a lot better. Who remembers the Cadillac ELR? I do. The Caddy that zigs with the cartoon duck. Not a great car, though, unfortunately. Let's see. Is the Chrysler 300 dead? Did you like it? You know what? I actually like the Chrysler 300. It is old. They're kind of taking the Toyota route where they develop a platform and then they just go for it for decades. You know what? There's nothing really like the Chrysler 300 out there. It's rear-wheel drive. It's a full-size car. As far as the design goes, it's actually aged very, very well. It's a beautiful design. I haven't driven one in 3 or 4 years, so I really don't know how they're holding up. But Chrysler, Stellantis now, has always done a good job of every year just kind of tweaking things and making it a little bit better. So it wouldn't surprise me if it still remains competitive. But again, it's kind of the only vehicle in its class. I've been following you since the New York Times. Bad move on their part. Your reviews are great. Again, the New York Times just doesn't want car reviews anymore. If you ever look at their automotive section, you'll see that there's never a review. There might be a review if it's a crazy, important vehicle. But for the most part, they don't do reviews. That's why I'm not there anymore. I mean, I do. I write articles for them, like 1 or 2 a month. So, have I had a chance to check out the Plaid yet? I have not. I want to, but I have not. I'm really curious why Tesla decided they really needed to have that yoke steering wheel. I've driven a prototype car back at the General Motors Proving Grounds that had a yoke steering wheel, and they're awful. They're terrible. I mean, there's a reason why the steering wheel hasn't changed. It looks cool, yes, but they're awful. If you need to do something fast, they're terrible. They are. Let's see. When will Lexus release the 22 NX? Pricing probably in about 3 weeks. Add $5,000 to the price of a Toyota RAV4, and I think you're there. Okay, just if you're curious. DL66, I'm headed to lunch. Great to hear that you're still writing for the New York Times. Enjoy your lunch. Hope it's better than mine. Let's see. It worked for Michael Knight. He's an actor. All right, come on. What Lexus did you like for sedans? I like the LS. It's kind of my guilty pleasure. Beautiful car. I'm not so crazy about the hybrid. And if I was going for that size of car, and I don't have any kids, I would actually go for the LC, which I think is a beautiful car. The convertible's awesome. Would love to take that on a road trip with very minimal luggage because it doesn't have much. Will you be reviewing the Bentley Flying Spur? Don't know. Getting a press car is harder on the more expensive ones. But I will talk to them because my wife, she deserves a ride in a Bentley Spur. Will you ever see me with a beard again? No. No. I mean, I don't shave when I'm not on camera. Just because I'm lazy, but it doesn't look all that great. It really doesn't. All right, folks. That's about. Thanks for the review from Walla Walla. My nephew just started at Whitman. My wife was supposed to go to Whitman College. She had a scholarship there, and so we went there to check out the campus, and when we were in Walla Walla, and it brought back a lot of memories. It's a beautiful campus. They will enjoy it there, but she ended up going to Stanford. I married a smart girl, and for all you single guys out there, marry the smart girl. Okay, it's you'll never regret it. Even though sometimes they make you feel dumb. Let's see. Will Evil Twin make his own reviews? Probably not. The Batmobile. That would be great. There's a guy in the Seattle area that has one of the original Chuck Barris Batmobiles, or at least a replica of it. That would be great. Evil Twin does not have a driver's license because, being the Evil Twin, he is... he's gotten into a lot of trouble, so the authorities keep a close eye on him. All right. Yes. What do you think of Hyundai and Toyota? Oh, sorry. There was something about Hyundai and Toyota, and it disappeared. Which car would you choose? Lexus IS 350, Cadillac CTS V, Cadillac TX. Yeah, I own a Cadillac, but I'm also very prone to dissing Cadillac because I don't think GM allows Cadillac to be Cadillac. I think they should move it up a solid level. But that said, I think I would go with the CT5V. And I don't know if you mean Blackwing. Blackwing definitely. But I haven't driven the Acura. I'm a little underwhelmed with the Lexus IS. They're reliable and all that kind of stuff, and they do handle better now. They did a nice upgrade. But I don't know. I might go with the Acura, but you know what? It doesn't matter what I like. It's what you like. So really, you need to drive them. You need to find out. Like I said, I always say, I like to point you guys in the right direction, but you need to know yourself. How do you know that Evil Twin doesn't have an ankle monitor? I need to check next time I see him. Oh, no, Vito. Don't go by my... you need to go drive them, all right? Honestly, the best advice that I can give anybody, there are a few cars that really stand out in their segments, but Vito, promise me that you're going to test drive more than one car, okay? Promise? Okay. Will you be visiting the great state of Montana in the future? I sure hope so. I was actually supposed to go this weekend to the baseball game in Bozeman for the Paddleheads, but I can't because of everything that's going on. Love Montana. Love driving in Montana. Love your speed limits. Okay. All right, Vito. All right. Just checking. Favorite used four-door sports car under $30,000. Well, hard to know prices these days, but I would say, you know what? If you can get a Cadillac ATS-V, my guess is those have no resale value whatsoever. I have a friend who was going to buy an M3, and I told him, hey, you should also check out these three other cars. And one of them was the ATS-V. And it shocked even me to find out that he came back with the Cadillac. And to this day, he still owns it. He bought it, I want to say, 5 years ago. He says it's his favorite car that he's ever owned. Again, General Motors invented modern marketing for automobiles. Start them with Chevy and then move them up through Cadillac. They were brilliant back in the 50s and the 60s. And I don't know what happened. Those folks cannot market themselves out of a paper bag. The Chevrolet Volt, beautiful. I'm not beautiful. Really well engineered car, great concept. Nobody bought it. My wife was able to buy one for $10,000 off of MSRP. It was nuts. I mean, by the time we got the federal tax credit, that car was $19,500. I couldn't buy a Honda Civic for that much money. And it's been absolutely bulletproof after 3 years. So, okay, one more. Let's see. I'm up to 151 subscribers. Yes, I am. It's going slow, but, it's getting better. All right, folks. Let's see. Despite Toyota's success, do you think they're in the right positioning the current Lexus ES? The ES as competition for the E-Class and 5 Series? No. I think it's just not. The ES is a perfectly fine front-wheel drive sedan, and I believe it's available in all-wheel drive. But I don't think that it competes against the 5 Series or the E-Class. And I don't know the pricing, and right now the pricing could be all over the map. So anyways, all right, I'm going to leave it at that. Let's see. I'm going to do one more. Bike Buddha. The GR86 BRZ are going to be the last chance to buy a gas stick sports car. What are your thoughts on buying one knowing 10 years would be very tough to sell in the electric world? You know what? Here's the deal. Anytime you get a car that enthusiasts like, I don't think it's going to be tough to sell. The reality is, I literally get notes on my Miata, which is 30 years old, and it's parked in front of my house. People want to buy that car. There's going to be a market for them in 10 years. They're not going to be hard to sell. So don't worry about that. And the reality is, if you buy it now, you get to enjoy it for 10 years, right? Go enjoy your car, right? That's why we're enthusiasts here. That's why we're all here together. We love cars. We may not agree on which is the best car, but we love cars. And, it's good to see that there's passion for them. So buy the car you love is my saying, because it is the car that you will keep the longest. You'll take care of it better, and it's a lot more soul satisfying. You turn and you look at it when you walk away, and you feel really good about it. I just don't think it's good to take your second choice and to settle for something. Maybe save a little bit longer, but buy the car you love. It's always worked out well for me. And it's also better for the planet. Everybody's talking about climate change and all, which I feel is real, right? I think we need to be responsible. We should have been responsible 20, 30 years ago. It's really important now. And, not to be a Debbie Downer on this, but it is important. But by buying the car you love, you keep it longer. It's better for the environment. You're not, mining the metals and the batteries and the plastics and all that kind of stuff to produce new cars. All right, folks, I got to go because I need to pack because I'm leaving for Mudfest in 45 minutes. So I'm behind. Anyways, thanks for the chat, and maybe we should do this more often. All right. See you, folks. I'm gonna figure out where the off button is. This is new to me.